Oh, and we're live.
We are certainly live. Absolutely. Well, welcome to this Friday's LinkedIn Live. I'm chatting with Nick Clarke, who describes himself as a bit of a geek in terms of all IT things. So I'm sure we'll get onto that. It's not me being mean. That's how Nick likes to describe himself, apparently. From Techsupport 24/7. Nick's been in the field of IT for over 30 years. So I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about in terms of his journey to setting up his own business. And as I always say at the beginning of all of these chats, is that it's just interesting to find out about the person behind the business because, we'll look at a profile, we'll look at, we might meet them briefly at a networking event. And there's always so much more to the person than initially meets the eye, and it's really fascinating to hear about, their journey to setting up their own business. Kind of what were the obstacles, what happened en route, and just to delve into your deep and dark past. But no,
That's
nothing.
very entertaining. Well,
Yeah, we'll keep it kind of light and business related, but whatever you feel you want to share with us here is absolutely fine, Nick. And so if anybody is listening, do drop us a message in the comments. I think Corin Jones is listening, so thank you so much for jumping in and listening to us today. So let us know you're listening. If you've got any comments or questions at all, just drop them in, and I will do my very best with my limited IT capability to bring them up on the screen and not cut us off. I haven't done that yet, but hey, this time. Luckily, I have an IT expert with me, so all will be well. He's next door. Don't worry, I'll call him in. So, as I said, Nick has set up his business, Techsupport 24/7, but there's 30 years worth of experience that went before that. So if you're happy just to share a little bit about what was it that led you into the field of IT, and what has been the journey, briefly about in those 30 years, that'd be great to hear your story.
okay. Where to start? So, uh, I've always had an interest from as far back as I can remember. I've always had an interest in tech and IT. From joining the computer club at school to writing a very simple application for my parents' business when I was 15 years old, but never really considered it a career at the time. I actually went into my parents' business as a photographer. So I trained.
Oh, okay. That's
So
interesting because
I
I
trained.
know you're into photography, and it's
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
realize that. Uh-huh.
So kind of back then, it was, we didn't have digital. It was all sort of like film, and go and work in a darkroom, develop your film, do your prints, and I massively enjoyed that. Uh, I I'm from the south originally. I lived in a small village just 30 miles outside of London. Got lured by the bright lights of London, moved to London, and in need of a job. I was looking through the newspapers because back then you had to use
Oh, yes.
newspapers. You
Yeah, yeah.
couldn't go. You couldn't go online and just find a job. And I saw an ad for a sales assistant for an IT retailer selling so like refurbished second user kit. They had a second-hand camera shop on Tottenham Court Road in central London, which I had previously had dealings with. And I thought, oh well, why not go for it? It's a working behind a shop counter. It's a job at the end of the day. Went for my interview there with the general manager Tom, and we spent pretty much the whole interview talking about photography. Nothing about tech,
Hmm.
nothing about the role as such. I mean, it was just, it's a shop assistant, also how hard can it be? And kind of at the end of that is all I said, well, look, this is a job. When can A, do you want to, and B, when could you start? So I said, yeah, why not? Give it a go. Well, needed a job, needed money,
Hmm.
and I was there for nearly 5 years. So working in central London, on the shop floor, serving customers. Kind of graduate. I kind of moved up the uh, kind of moved up through the business, and when I left nearly 5 years later, I was the National Repair Centre Manager, working out of their head office in Greenford and Middlesex. And really enjoyed it, but was ready for a new challenge. I then went on to work for a couple of other retailers, doing similar sort of thing, working my way up to sort of like area manager roles and all that sort of stuff. And then I decided that I actually wanted to break into doing IT support, IT services, because that's where my interest was. So I went for I kind of got approached to go for an interview for a job. Went for the interview, got the job, and went to work for a big sort of overnight courier business, looking after all their internal IT. As part of a small team, and that included looking after their accounting system, looking after their bespoke dispatch manifest control system, going to client sites to install systems in there for printing labels and all sorts of stuff. And sometimes that was custom solutions. So it was quite varied, and it meant that I was traveling up and down the country. One day I could be in London, the next day I could be up in Perth in Scotland. It was as varied as that, and I kind of enjoyed the challenge of it. Just sort of like go around and sort of like going to see customers and putting in a solution, or speaking to them about, oh, we might need to just tweak this because we do something slightly different. And from there, I kind of just then fell into sort of like mainstream IT services, IT support roles. And I did a small stint as a contractor many years ago. And then when I moved up to Manchester in back end of 1999, I was still working for this courier company. It got bought out, and I'd resigned because I met my ex-wife and thought, oh, she's from North Manchester, why not move up there? So I'll easily get a job. They said, no, we can't. You can't resign. Why? Well, you've got a lot of knowledge about the systems of the company they bought, and you're the only one left that knows enough about it.
Great.
So can you stay? So I thought, oh, okay, then you've twisted my arm. I'll stay. So I went up and worked at their Northern Area office for the next couple of years, but found it really difficult because their IT, the main IT team was 240 miles down south in Scotland. Sorry, and it was just a case of there wasn't any real career progression for me being that far away. So I left there, did a 6-month contract with an HR consultancy in Knutsford. That went really well. And then I went to work for a small IT support company over in Wigan that also did Sage. And that kind of then diversified my career a bit more. I started doing Sage consultancy. That was back in 2001. I'd already been looking after a Sage accounting solution for this courier company anyway, which was like heavily customized for their needs. So it wasn't like your standard off the box, here you go sort of thing. It was, and it was learning all that and delving into all the coding of that. And so moving up north, I had various roles as a Sage consultant. I still kept my hand in on the IT side. In 2010, I joined a small business based outside of Accrington, and I joined them as a project manager working on the consulting team. And they then asked me to open one of their franchises. They decided that they were going to grow the business by doing a franchise style model. And they asked me if I would do the Manchester franchise as a pilot. So that was kind of my first proper dip into running my own IT business, although it was with the support of the core business. And that worked out really well, grew that to a decent size, helped to relaunch the West Yorkshire franchise, and for a time I ran both franchises. And the owners of the business then decided after 20 years, you know what, we've done what we've achieved. selling the business.
Right.
So I had all this freedom. I was practically self-employed. I could set my own diary, and shock horror, I was an employee again for a couple of
Oh,
years.
blimey, that's quite a big step to go back, isn't it? When you've got used to all
Yeah.
that freedom. I'm just going to adjust my seat here because it looks like I'm falling into the sand. This chair's gone a bit funny. There we are. I'm back out the seat. I could just feel it going down as we were talking and thinking, oh, blimey, looks like I'm slipping behind the waves. But anyway, sorry to interrupt there. But yeah, I think that is a really interesting once you've had that sort of freedom and being able to, like you said, set your own diary, pretty much set the direction for the business. Going back must have felt like it was a step back, but it probably wasn't. I'm going to let you carry on with your story.
Yeah, it was so much a step back as it was so what happened was we got the owners decided to sell. They found a buyer, and it was a national IT, so like managed IT support business that had lots of different offices up and down the UK. One thing that they didn't have was they didn't have a Sage consultancy division to the business,
Right.
and that was the primary reason why they bought us. And the original plan was my friend at the time was heading up the consultants team. I was obviously running the two franchises. Sadly, in 2018, in the early days of the acquisition, he fell ill and unfortunately he passed away. So I then kind of took on his team, brought them into this new business, and kind of helped the new business understand what a Sage reseller looked like.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of had itchy feet. I didn't want to stay there. I didn't want to be an employee.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you say, once you've been out there, you've done it. You don't really want
Once
to.
you've escaped, yeah, I can understand that.
That's not a negative again.
No, of course not.
I think anyone that's been in business for themselves, if they're faced with having to go back into employment, it's sort of think, oh, really? And so at the end of 2019, so like myself and my other half, Amanda, we kind of decided, well, we're both really fed up of being employees.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we set up our own business? And then this thing called COVID happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
So that then kind of took us off it actually gave us the opportunity to actually launch Techsupport 24/7, because I think in some respects, if that hadn't happened, we perhaps wouldn't be sat here talking now. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. And we just saw this opportunity, and obviously my business partner Martin, I've known him for many years. He had just come out of an IT business a couple of years before that, and he was looking to start up a new business. So the timing was perfect. We started having a discussion around it, and kind of Technology Support 24/7 was born after that. We launched August 2020. We're now into our third year, and going strong.
I mean, that's so interesting. You think about 2020 and clearly it was a horrendous time for so many people, and so many businesses weren't able to operate. But the number of people I've spoken to who use technology as the foundation for their business, whether it's currency exchange or IT support or teaching online or whatever that might be, actually found that gave them the impetus to set up a business, because everybody was starting to go online through necessity. And it is really interesting. We can sort of look at 2020 as being, the horrendous year it was, but it also brought with it opportunities for people who were location independent and were able to embrace the technology that's available. So it is really interesting, the number of people I talked to who actually set up their business in 2020 and are finding it's thriving, which is great. It's also interesting, you said, when you first started out in the photography business, that you didn't see IT as being a career choice or a business choice. It was kind of like, something that you just perhaps dabbled around with at home or at school. But, how things have changed in the last 30 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I, I was one of those kids. I didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do when I left school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already working in my parents' business during the summer holidays, doing bits and pieces, and I enjoyed photography. So I would then go on photography shoots with my dad, and then I would start doing some of my own, and it kind of went from there. So it was kind of a natural thing for me to do at the time.
Yeah.
And it was only because I moved to London and I needed a job,
Mm-hmm.
and that I actually ended up working in a shop that sold computers, and then I ended up tinkering with them, repairing, setting them up for demos, setting them up for customers, and I thought, oh, actually, I enjoy this,
Mm.
and that then became my career.
Yeah. The more people I talk to, everyone has such different backgrounds and different stories, but kind of the common thread is that for very few people, if any, actually, there isn't a straight line from sort of, knowing exactly what they wanted to do at school to where they are now. Even if they were very clear what they wanted to do when they left school, often that's changed so much over the last few years. But the one thing that is very consistent between all the business owners that I talk to is this sort of willingness to look for different opportunities and just kind
Yeah,
of having a bit more of an open mind to see opportunities when they pop up, which is they can come from any direction. They can come when things are positive, negative, whatever, but that is the common theme that I seem to be hearing again and again. It is about being open-minded and keeping your eyes and ears open for opportunities and
yeah.
giving it a go. It's so one of the other things that that you talked about. Are you okay there? You got
Yeah,
IT problems?
notification came in, which then muted you. Damn tech.
Oh. I was out on a walk the other day and someone was talking about, things. And you thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if you could actually just mute people in life generally? Not many people, but occasionally it'd be quite nice to just think, oh, I'll just put you on mute. I suppose that's what they do with call centers. I'll have to put you on hold. We seem to be
Yeah.
losing the connection. But yeah, I'm sure my partner would love to be able to mute me every now and again, but tough, he can't. I've lost my thread now. What was I talking about? Yes, that was it. I've just remembered. You talk about demystifying tech and also bringing more of the human side back to it, because tech is. I know how to use things, but if anything goes wrong, beyond turn it off and turn it on again, there's nothing else that I'm not exactly tech savvy. So, what is it that you mean by sort of the human face and the demystifying in a practical sense?
I suppose I've always looked at, whether it be a laptop, PC, tablet, whatever it is, it's just a tool that you need to learn to use. And some people will take to it like Dr. Ward. The younger
Mm,
generations now, they're
I
born
know.
with technology, and they kind of understand it and don't really need any prompting. And I think what I've found as a recurring theme in a lot of the IT businesses that I'd worked in over the years, and a lot of those that I then interacted with on behalf of customers, is the common theme is that the techies are really good at what they do,
Mm.
but they're not great at explaining it to the
You need a
customer.
translator. Yeah.
Yeah, they they'll go into a lot of detail, which will probably just go over people's heads. People don't really
Hmm.
know, because at the end of the day, in business, if your tech isn't working, you want to be able to pick up a phone and so I say, "Can you solve this?" Right? Yeah, let me
Yeah.
just get on. Right, this is the problem. It's sorted now. Happy days. Off you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know what some of the common themes you find with business owners, but certainly when I worked in corporate, we had a huge IT support team behind us. So, the wonderful Tony and Ricky on help desk, whether it was problems in meeting rooms or whether it was computers, there was always somebody there. And I think it came as a bit of a shock, when you do set up your own business, and particularly if you're working on your own, and there's nobody there to call. So it was.
Yeah,
Luckily, I've
Rick's
got a
not
couple of
there on
friends
the
who
end of
are
the phone anymore.
yeah. Where's Tony? Where's Ricky? Are they on holiday? It was a real and that's come through all the support systems that we used to have when we work for larger companies. We can often take that for granted, and then when we're on our own, we're suddenly thinking, right, great, well, I really don't know what to do with this now. So, I mean, are there any particular common issues that business owners tend to come up against?
It'll be the typical things like something won't print out, no matter how many times they try. It's just not doing it, or they're waiting for an email to come in. Why hasn't the email coming? I phoned the person who sent it. They said they sent it. Why haven't I got it?
Yeah,
You know,
you're sitting there, refresh, send,
yeah,
receive. I've done
yeah.
it 20 times and it's still not there.
It's still not there. Damn thing! I'm going to throw this laptop out the window. And it is just that. It can be the small things that will frustrate people,
Hmm.
especially when we're in a busy working environment and we're waiting for something important to come in, and it's sort of like, where is it?
Yeah.
It's like that tumbleweed moment.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose everything has become so instant now, isn't it? It's not like you wait for the post or even a fax to come through. We're used to everything being instant. And when it's not there, then that is the frustration. So maybe you're the savior of many laptops and many windows.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, poor Windows. They don't want to get smashed. And I think also, what we like to try and do is when we're talking to businesses, business owners especially, and we're talking to them about a solution, we will try and put it into their language that they
Yeah.
understand, that they can relate to. It's all. I was speaking to a lady this morning who does all our social media and marketing, and she said, "Nick, look, I need a laptop." And I said, "You know me, I'm a tech, don't do tech.
Hmm.
Know what I need to do. What would you recommend?" Well, send me a list of what you need to do. We'll go away. We'll find some options for you, and then we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So there's no point saying to people, well, how fast do you want it to go? How much space do you need on it?
I don't know.
Most people go, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll just understand what their needs are. Go away, look at some options, go back to them, explain the options to them in the language that they understand. They're happier with that because it's relatable, and then they can then
Hmm.
make the decision of whether they want to go ahead or not.
Sorry, I've just got slightly distracted by I've just had a load of comments saying that people can't see us live. Oh, so I don't know what's going on there. So apologies, everyone. This is recording, and as far as I've got green ticks, so that's as far as I can go. So apologies. So I know Karen's put some messages up here, and also Ross as well. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to carry on chatting with Nick because I can't do two things at once, clearly. And I'll pick up later. So that they may well have comments, and if you do, just drop them in the comments when you do listen on replay, and we can come back to them. So apologies, Nick, I got slightly distracted there, but I knew people were listening, and I couldn't see the comments coming out, so that's why I thought I'll just have a quick surreptitiously check on my phone. No one will notice I'm doing it, but then I can't talk and look at the same time. So I was busted. So yeah, I think that is such a it's such an important point that we don't know what we need, and oh yes, right, I'm going to put. So Ross, there seems to be a different link to the initial event, so I'm really sorry. I don't know what's gone wrong there. I apologize. I don't know what's gone
Ross
on
is
there.
one of my teams, so
You can blame me, Ross. It's got nothing to do with Nick and his IT skills. It's clearly me and my IT skills, so apologies for that, but thank you so much for hanging in there and listening, and also to Karen, who I know has been trying to get online as well. So yeah, maybe I need to go on a quick course. It's done it all right in the last. I've been doing this since last summer, and this is the first time. But anyway, like I say, it's not Nick. This is not a reflection of his IT skills. It's a reflection of mine. So maybe
sometimes tech just does go wrong,
it
and
does. Yeah.
even though I'm a techie and self-confessed geek, when it goes wrong and you don't know how to immediately fix it, it is still, we're still human at the end of the day. It's
Yeah.
frustrating, but it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
suppose if it didn't, I wouldn't have a business.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Good job. It does.
Absolutely, yeah. Go on, tech,
So,
just keep breaking. Thank you.
yeah, with people like me doing it, there will always be business for you, Nick. So in terms of sort of what would be your, apart from, you're not allowed to say turn it off and switch it on again, what would be your, because that's mine, I'm claiming that one, what would be your kind of one top tip for technology or helping us out?
Something that has been a recurring theme probably over the last 18 months, 2 years, has been cybersecurity, especially with
Mm,
everything that happened with us going into lockdown, working from home. It changed the whole landscape of uh, of working, but it also provided some challenges in our industry in terms of being able to support a user base that weren't all sat in one office, but they were
mm-hmm.
all geographically dispersed. Unfortunately, there are people out there, in the trade we call them sort of like cyber threat actors. There's other terms, hackers, or whatever terms you want to use. Nasty people who try and break into your systems by whatever means possible, whether it be sending a spoofed email, claiming, with an attachment that says, "Oh, this is a really important invoice that needs to be paid now, but can you pay it into different bank details?" So the one tip I actually picked up from a cybersecurity expert that I had a chat with a couple of months ago was give yourself permission to slow down when you're going through your emails. We are bombarded with information from so many different sources: social media, WhatsApp, text messages, emails. It's very easy for someone to just click on something without paying
Yeah, it
careful
is.
attention. So if that's one top tip that I'm going to give, it is going to be slow down, just pay attention to what you're doing. And if something doesn't look right, if someone is asking you to pay money into a
Mm-hmm.
different bank account, pick up the phone and just check with that person.
Yeah.
Chances are it's probably not them that sent it, it's someone
Mm,
pretending to be them.
yeah.
And if you go back to old fashioned picking up the phone and just double checking, you'll probably save yourself, your business, or your employer a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot.
That's such an important point. I think it goes beyond that as well, is that we try to multitask, don't we? So you're doing your
Yeah,
emails, you're probably doing some other things at the same time, and we're not 100% focused on what we're doing, and actually just sticking to one task at a time, finish it, and then move on to the next, because we can't multitask. Even women can't do it. I know it's always something that's chucked at men, but actually, we aren't set. Our brains aren't like that to be able to multitask. We can flip between things, but again, when you are doing that, you are running the risk of missing something important, clicking on something that you really shouldn't do. But also, we waste a lot of time and energy when we flick between things. So I think that's a great tip. And I did actually get one of those messages this week saying that the bank had put something on hold and I needed to click on this link to release some payments or something. And I thought, that's a bit strange. So there we go. Thank you for that. Really, it's a very good top tip.
thank you.
And we've just got a couple of minutes left. So I wanted to mention Planit Monday before you went, because that's where we met. And so, yeah, Nick runs a networking group. Do you want to just give us a bit more information about that?
Yep, sure. So Planit Monday was set up just over 2 years ago in the middle of the first lockdown. Um, I've always enjoyed networking, and obviously, when I went back to being an employee, I didn't really get the opportunity to. So I took the opportunity to set up Planit Monday as kind of an online platform for people to come and network, build relationships, ask questions. So it was as much about sort of supporting the business community as it was about the opportunity to network and to grow your network. And I've continued to run it. It's every Monday morning. It's free to attend. It's 1 hour of networking. We do have some random conversations in there, but it's
Which
always
is why we enjoy it.
absolutely, yeah. It's always fun, and we have a lot of people who've said that it gives them a great start to the week because it's just have a bit of a laugh with it.
Yeah,
Amazing.
exactly. And very much like having these chats, if this was just purely about talking about IT, then, we don't get to find out about a bit more about you, and it is about those personal connections. And, that's the whole thing about, are you, is it business to business? Is it, consumers can, it's person to person, people buy from people, and I very much do I agree with that. So it's great to get to know people a little bit better. And it's through those connections that then at some point in time when you need help, or you meet another business that needs some support, then you can recommend each other. So it's a like I said, we have some very interesting and fun conversations, and it's a great way to kickstart the week. So thank you very much for that. So the
Oh,
next one will be obviously on Monday. We are up to our 30 minutes now. Time flies when you're having fun. And I just want to thank you enormously, Nick, for putting up with my IT skills as well. And I don't know what's gone wrong today and why it hasn't connected with the event, but I will go back and make sure that I share this with everyone as well. So if you are listening to this on replay, do just drop a comment, or if you've got any questions for Nick, then I will make sure I come back and make sure those that they are answered. So thank you again for talking to me. Thank you to Ross and to Karen for for listening. Even I'm not quite sure where they're listening, but wherever you're listening, that's great. And I will wish you all a very good weekend, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care then. Bye.
thank you, Louise.